Hi everyone, today we're going to make delicious scalloped potatoes by Vegan Risha, and they are oil-free, nut-free, and nutritional yeast-free, and they are absolutely amazing. So let's get started. So this is a really simple recipe, which I greatly appreciate. I've always wanted a scalloped potato recipe and had never found one that I really loved, and this one is amazing. So we have here a half a cup of diced onions, and 3 cloves of garlic minced, which I just already started because I didn't want to make you sit here and watch me. But I added in just 2 to 3 tablespoons of water for it to be oil-free, or you could use vegetable broth if you want a little extra flavor. But I just did a couple of tablespoons of water, and that's been on here for about 5 minutes. And then we're going to add some gluten-free flour to thicken up our sauce. And I always use Bob's Red Mill gluten-free all-purpose baking flour, which I show often. And of course, it doesn't have to be gluten-free. I'm going to add a little more water. And then we're going to add in a teaspoon of thyme. You could also use rosemary. Vegan Risha just says whatever herb you like, so I'm going to use thyme. And then salt. If you can do salt, it's about 3/4 of a teaspoon salt. This is some Himalayan sea salt. And then we're going to mix these flavors together and get that going. So most of the scalloped potato recipes I'd seen online, use a lot of vegan butter and things like that. A lot of vegan butter, which is fine. I'm sure they're totally delicious. But again, it is a lot of oil and extra fat, and most of them use nutritional yeast. And some people are sensitive to nutritional yeast, including myself, even though I love it. Okay, now we're going to add in, which I think is the real selling point, is this miso. And this is light yellow miso. It's made from soybeans, and it has a lot of flavor. So we're just using a half a teaspoon. All right. To me, that kind of is the replacement of the yeast. And then we're going to add some dried mustard. You can use regular ground mustard. That's, like, that you put on hamburgers out of the refrigerator. This is dried ground mustard, and we're going to do a half a teaspoon. Vegan hamburgers, of course. And then, because you can see how dry it is, we add, starting with a half a cup of plant milk. Now, to keep it nut-free, you could use soy milk, and I am using cashew milk, so mine's not going to be completely nut-free. And I did want to tell you, I just made this on the spot with 1/4 cup of cashews and 2 cups of water in a blender, and that was it. So we're going to start with a half a cup at a time here. And if you do any plant milk you use, make sure it is unsweetened. Okay, that's very important because this is definitely more savory. Then we're going to add in another half cup. And I highly recommend following Vegan Risha. Subscribe to her newsletter for her emails. All her recipes are vegan. She is truly vegan, which is always nice. And she just does an incredible job. I've loved everything I've tried from her. Okay, get this going. And then I'm going to add the final full cup, so it's 2 cups total. This does take a while to thicken, so have no fear. We're going to go slice some potatoes here in a minute, but you do want to bump up the heat on the stovetop, and you want to preheat your oven at 350. Because it does take an hour to cook, sometimes even longer. And the browner, the better. In my opinion, when we've cooked it longer, I've liked them even more so. Okay, so let's let that work its magic. And then we'll come back to that. So I just want to make sure. And I'm going to probably grab a whisk here. All right, thank you. Moving on. So I was probably the last person to get a mandolin. And my friend kept saying, you've got to get a mandolin. And I was like, that is too much for me. But as you can see, It cuts these most perfect, even slices that I could never do with a knife. So that is what I have been doing here. So you can use 2 to 3 potatoes, and this is going to be in an 8x8 pan. You could try it in a bigger pan and, you know, double some of the ingredients, but we're going to go ahead and do the mandolin, and I'm still learning myself. So you just want to angle the potato down, and this is just a good old cheap russet potato, and start slicing. The thing is, you just want to watch your fingers, which I unfortunately learned the hard way. And there is an attachment when it gets too low, but just keep an eye on it. And I'll just show you. Voila. And we may not need all these, but I'm just gonna get it ready to go. And you don't want to do, see, I just did this like 5 minutes before we started and they already get a little brown. So it is better to wait until your sauce is thickening. It's just like anything in life. The more you practice, the easier it gets. Okay, so we have a lot of potatoes, but that's good. That's the quick mandolin lesson. Then we're gonna go back to our sauce here. So I'm gonna let it sit here and simmer and stir and stir and stir until it starts to thicken. Okay, so I've been whisking just for like 5 minutes. It actually thickened up really fast, and it doesn't have any starch in it, just those 3 tablespoons of gluten-free flour, which is great. Easy, we appreciate easy. So now we're gonna layer our potatoes in an 8x8 pan. You can do about, I want to spread them out to help them cook a little better. I'm just going to do the layers and then just going to pour the sauce on top. Okay, so this is, it's just amazing that this recipe is really oil-free, fat-free, depending, I guess, that my cashew milk has some fat, but barely, because it's so diluted. Okay. But no vegan butter. Like some of the recipes will have 3 tablespoons of vegan butter, which is a lot of oil. And another plant milk you could use that's nut-free besides soy milk is oat milk. Oat milk's really booming right now. And to be honest with you, I've never had it, which seems so strange after 20 years of being vegan, but I've just always been, I started with soy milk, graduated to almond milk, and and cashew milk, and I've just kind of stayed there. And I've never tried pea milk by Ripple. If anybody's tried the pea milk, let me know in the comments. I hear good things about that too. And that would have a little more protein content also. All right, let's keep layering here. Thank everyone for their support of my cat Oliver making his transition and our new kitten Elijah. We are actually adopting his sister this week. And she had to have her eye removed because when they were found, they all had respiratory infections, but she's totally fine. She had a little surgery, and we are waiting to get her this week, so hopefully I can introduce you to her next time. And we are calling her Olivia. All right. A few more. Getting kind of sloppy here. Let me get that. But yes, that mandolin really makes a huge difference. So don't be afraid of the mandolin like I was. Just watch your fingers. Yeah, so we used 3 pretty much. You can use 2 to 3, but we're gonna fill it. All right. Now you're just gonna pour the sauce on top. which is what it says in the directions. I've also tossed this in a bowl with the sauce, and it turned out great also. So see what works best for you. So here comes our delicious sauce. Okay, and it just seeps down between the layers, and it does work. I've done it both ways, and they were both delicious. So we're gonna bake this at 350 for 60 minutes, and then we're gonna broil it for like 1 minute, but it may need even longer after 60. Check it, because it does taste better when it has that more of a brown layer. And the other trick we've learned is to definitely put it on a pan, because there is a chance that it might overflow. And of course, I could have done less layers of potatoes than that, but I just wanted them all, so we can eat it all. Okay, so 350 for 60 minutes. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, we're back. We let it cook about 70 minutes and broiled it about 1 to 2. It did get a little crispy, but I like it that way. So if you see, if you put the pan on the second rack below your baking dish, then it can catch anything that might go over. Nothing overspilled here this time, thank goodness. So here it is, and I like to top it with some chopped green onions, because I love green onions. And then we serve it with a side of green peas. You could also do broccoli or roast some asparagus, and it's just a delicious and very nutritious and low-fat meal. So let me know what you think of it in the comments. As always, thank you for joining me and saving animals with your food choices. I hope you have a great week.